You're listening to The People's Pitch, the official podcast of Minneapolis City Soccer Club, brought to you by footballstadiumprints.com. Let's start the show.
And as I talked about just a couple minutes ago, as Joe Watt stands over this one, he appears to be the one taking the penalty here. This is a huge confidence booster if you're Duluth.
Worst case scenario for City right here.
And it stopped! Yes! And it stopped!
Totally
Matt
redeems
Elder.
himself.
Matt Elder redeeming himself. Oliver with the right foot. The shot is goal!
Oliver!
Justin Oliver will break the scoreless tie. And it is 1-0 Minneapolis City. Is Hutton now on the offense with the left foot.
Goal!
And it is now 2-0 Minneapolis City.
Good finish.
Nick Hutton taking his quick victory lap.
Welcome to the People's Pitch, coming at you live from the island paradise of Madeline Island. John, we're on a bit of a gentleman's retreat up here in the North Woods.
Yes, gentleman's
in
retreat.
the middle of Lake Superior. We're gonna do some work, talk about some soccer. It's gonna be a good weekend.
So a gentleman's retreat, remind me again, is a goal, an assist, and a yellow card?
Yeah,
Is that a gentleman's retreat?
Gentleman's hat trick.
Okay, close enough. But yes, I was invited up to the island paradise that is the Morales cabin, mainly because I have power tools.
Yeah.
So, and I've used them before.
So, I don't want to lose a finger, man. I need someone to operate.
I don't want to lose a finger either.
Well, it's probably best that we're recording this on the first night that we're up here. Otherwise, it's hard to record in an emergency room. Look, man, we're gonna get into some great stuff that has happened to Minneapolis City this week. We had our rivalry game that we've been looking forward to for the entire season.
Circled it on the calendar, day one.
Popped off, and it did not disappoint. And the victory there has a lot of implications in what's going on with Minneapolis City moving forward. So we're going to talk about our rivalry match versus Duluth. We're going to preview the next match against Med City in the Minnesota Super Cup, and maybe talk a little bit about what's been going on in the NPSL North, and then talk about what else has been going on in the Minnesota Super Cup, because Valora has advanced, and that game was balls crazy.
And then they play the Little Loons, who
Yeah.
topped our group.
Yeah. Before we do that, John, did you watch the All-Star game?
I wish people could see our notes.
The MLS All-Star game?
I wish people could see our notes, because in parentheses I wrote in my color, in my notes, eggplant emoji.
I mean, look, if you were there, I was at the All-Star game last year. It was awesome that it was here in Allianz.
Last year I liked.
And I think, like, I am a little regretful that my team, Arsenal, did not end up coming. If this year was last year, anyway, I would have loved to see Arsenal instead of the Liga MX All-Stars. It was still a great game last year, whatever, great experience. I don't know who thought that maybe, like, throwing the best of the MLS up against
It's happened before.
top team, one of the top teams in the Premier
world?
League,
In the world?
is going to, like, turn out good. Is going to be a good look for the MLS, but in the end it was 5-0, and everyone got in on the action, right? You got Jesus, you had Trossard, you had Havertz got to score in his debut. It was not close.
So a couple things for me. One, I did not watch it. I watched the highlights. I, for some reason, just can't get behind the production value of Apple TV soccer. I just don't like it. I wish it would go back to ESPN. Someone who has had more experience in soccer.
Yeah.
And now I'm hearing that the Bundesliga is considering making the switch from ESPN Plus over to Apple TV. I'm not happy about that. But anyways, in general, I know I did not watch the game because I was packing for this trip to Island Paradise on Madeline Island.
Yeah.
To your cabin. I had to get my shit together. But my favorite part of it, though, was that post-game, the studio analysts for Apple TV decided to go live pitch side to interview man of the match, Bakary Sacco. And it was...
They said Bakary Sacco?
Yeah, and it was Boligan. Or Balogun. And they introduce him as not him, and then talk about his performance and winning the MVP of the game. And he's like, and then it just kind of cuts away. Like it was like they finally, like, someone in the production house was like,
It's like,
oh
that's
shit. Not him. Yeah.
Wow, that's
Once again, I don't like to watch things on Apple TV.
the thing with Apple TV. Just to as we're down this path, is there's pros and cons to being able to watch every MLS game or any MLS game you want on Apple TV.
Yeah,
and the pro is that they've got this rotating stable of their announcers, and that means
our guy
Cal isn't calling Minnesota anymore. So we don't have Cal celebrating visiting team goals on our stream.
You also don't have his burner account promoting his exploits as well. But so that was my first takeaway.
Cons is confusing Saka with Balogun.
Yeah. Because
Balogun's like now one of the top stars in the U.S. men's national team. Like, you got to know these guys. Do you not watch soccer?
Right. And like for him, he talked about his introduction to joining the U.S. national team in Vegas, making the decision to play for us instead of England, and how like it was one of the best 2 weeks of his life. Like he feels the love of the U.S. That was what he said the day before in the ESPN article, and then the next day, Apple TV.
And they're like, Mr. Saka, how did you feel about your MVP? Well,
I'm not him.
Hey,
dipshit, I'm not him. The other thing for me is that this isn't the first time that they played against a European team, and there's been a couple of weirdnesses in there, and I still think they should go back to East versus West. Make it just about your league. Yeah. I did like the Liga MX. I did like that because I liked it because in the first 30 seconds of that game, there was like tackles already flying in. Like guys were like, fuck you, fuck you Americans, fuck you Mexicans. Like it was like you had a rivalry there.
Yeah.
But I think that the pause for a while was after the Bayern Munich game when Pep was in charge, and in the first 15 minutes, his team was on holiday. And the MLS All-Stars were like, they're in prime form, and they were kicking their guys, and he was getting really pissed off about it because there were some challenges that were a little questionable. And they still just laid the wood on the MLS All-Stars. I think the only time that there has been a victory was against Chelsea. I was looking at social media today and just kind of seeing some reactions.
Classic Chelsea.
Seeing some reactions. Yeah, classic Chelsea. No worse than classic Everton losing to Minnesota United last year in the international friendlies. That's another whole nother topic.
True.
But Jay Demerit was like, hey, MLS All-Stars have beaten a European team. I was on that team.
Excuse me.
Yeah. I truly do think, I don't want to talk too much about this, but I think they need to move away from the bringing European teams over that are clearly like, they just started kicking a ball together.
Mm-hmm.
And regardless of how good they are, I mean, Arsenal's, those players are world class. It just doesn't do anything for your league to get routed by guys who just literally came from Ibiza. Like, and this is their like first week of kicking a ball together. They're all tan. And they're like,
I'm still so high.
Yeah, exactly. So I did not watch it, but I did get some good bits from the coverage.
That's good. Well, let's talk about soccer that happened a little closer to home. Crows versus Duluth.
Yeah.
In the second Minnesota Super Cup group game that we played, first one didn't go our way. It was the first game Minneapolis City played on the season, and we lost 1-0 to the Minnesota United U19 squad. It was a combo of like a futures team.
It was
whoever was
a hodgepodge.
Whoever's here.
Yeah.
So that was kind of a bummer.
Some trialists.
But this is the one we were really circling because we knew both teams would be in top form.
Yeah, we mentioned it early on. Like that was the first one. I mean, the first one I circled was like when I heard about there. It should be no surprise. There are some former members of Minneapolis City who conceived the Super Cup. John Martinson, who is the architect of it, was one of our operations folks last year. Adam Pribble supports him on that from a support staff perspective. Kevin, who was I forget Kevin's last name, but Kevin, who is continuing to help us out with the support staff role. He's part of the committee as well. So there's no surprise there, but there was no like Minneapolis City favors done in this. We still were drawn with Duluth, and it wasn't manufactured. It was all random, and I'm glad we drew them. But I circled this one immediately when I found out that was happening. I was like, yes, the rivalry's back. And you and I both sat in a room at Utapils with members when we made the announcement for USL2. And we were going to potentially be leaving NPSL.
Yep.
And what was one of the first things people said was, what about the old rivalries? Like, are we going to be able to manufacture, are we going to be able to create those with the new teams in USL2? I think there's one starting with St. Croix Legends.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really worry much about Rochester. Our result versus them aside at home, I don't really worry about them. I don't feel anything rivalry-y, I guess you could say. Rivalrous, yeah, with them. But when it comes to USL2, I do feel it with people like St. Croix Legends. But I don't feel it at the level of what we have with Duluth, because there's a lot of history there. And the history did come out. Kyle Eliason, our staff writer, wrote a well-crafted piece about the history of that matchup. You can go over to Soda Soccer and you can read that if you haven't read it yet. And this one didn't disappoint unless you were wearing a blue or a green shirt, and you combine those two and you're a blue-green. you didn't like the 3-1 outcome, Nate.
Yeah. So without going through, man by man, the roster to this one looked a lot like the roster for the game against Minnesota U19s, because this is its own tournament. You had to be cup tied, right? So anyone that was added later, anyone like Darley Flourville who showed up late, anyone that
futures players,
any futures players that we pulled up,
we talked about,
or that we had up early,
we talked about maybe the inclusion of like Carter Hermanson, who was a leading goal scorer. We talked about maybe the inclusion of Nick Kent, because we were low on the defensive side. Was interested that Alvaro Arce, unless he's injured, didn't, because he was one of the top performers in that first cup game against Minnesota United U19s. Maybe we see him again into the mix, but he was celebrating at halftime with the rest of his teammates the treble, trophy winning exploits from the UPSL season for regular season and the conference tournament. So yeah, it was a hodgepodge.
But Duluth, they still had some of their big guns. Right, when you looked at the roster, you had a NPSL North top 11 in Tyler Limmer, formerly of Sioux Falls Thunder. Of course, Sean Morgan was named to the top 11 as a coach. The weird thing is when you look at the NPSL North top 11, you don't have Costa Domorowski. They're like far and away best, most threatening player, and Jake Starling, who's the most capped on the team in the defensive rock. Whatever, they were both there though. They were both lining up against us. Plus, but a couple guys that were on the top 11, Solares and Robe, did not make the roster either because they were not available or injured. Or
I think Solares,
they couldn't qualify.
I saw Solares with a knee wrap in the stands, and I think that the fan vote just thought that Robe was Starling, and I think they just put him in. That's part of what we were talking about off air, is that like it's a popularity contest by fans.
Mm-hmm.
So you get wherever Robe plays college soccer, you get a whole town or a whole program behind it. And start getting the votes. Yep. And we saw that with when Minneapolis City was in the NPSL North, where it's like true top performers in the league were just bypassed by popular vote.
Mm-hmm.
And it happens in all sports when you let the assholes, the inmates run the asylum, right? But yeah, I was interested in, like, we talked about a couple different players in our preview, like goalkeeper Zeke Foles. He wasn't there.
Nope.
What was Price, their goalkeeper's first name?
Was it
Jake Price? Maybe Jake Price. But Price, their goalkeeper, who I thought actually played better than I'd seen Zeke Foles play. He was in there. Robe was not in there, but Starling was as their captain. Who else did we talk about that didn't make it? I think we had a few players that we talked about that didn't make it, but they definitely brought a strong squad, because you end up starting a guy like Limmer off on the bench, thinking that maybe he's the guy that comes on and gets you a goal. That did not happen, but they still brought a strong squad because they had nothing else left to play for.
Yeah. Andres Solares is one that we mentioned. He wasn't in. Yeah, Zeke Foltz. He wasn't in.
He was the other.
Yep. So, very interesting. And we had already talked about a lot of those guys that we used to know and love on Duluth not playing. So, hopefully this will help ignite the next chapter in the rivalry. We'll understand something. We'll know these players when they come back.
Right.
But yeah, let's talk about the game, man. I'd say slow start for City. Wouldn't you?
Very slow.
Was it even conservative, or was it just slow?
There was so many instances where Camel 2, who was pulled up from the Futures program, who was in the roster the first time we played. Actually, I think he started at the number 9, which is not his natural position, but he started out wide on the left wing, which I think is his natural position.
Yep.
He made so many calculated inch perfect runs, and the ball would be not played to him, or it would be behind him out of bounds, or right to the defense. And you could clearly tell that although these guys have trained together throughout the summer, something was not clicking yet.
Yep.
And I think I mentioned on the broadcast that Camel 2 was making awesome runs, and I just prayed, don't stop making those runs, because they are the absolute right decision.
Yep.
We just can't get him the service. And then you looked at the front three, the remainder of the front three, which was Eric Contreras, who typically plays the number 10 position for the Crows. And then on right wing, you had Bechtel. So out of those three, Bechtel was really the only one that was complimenting Camel 2's runs. And there were, how many times did we see center back Wes Lawrence dribbling 15, 20 yards with the ball with given space, because there were no runs being made, and he wasn't even looking for Camel 2 because he wasn't expecting those runs because of the familiarity.
Yeah.
The lack of familiarity.
Yep.
So I don't know if it was necessarily a slow passive start. I think it was just hey, this is who's playing today. Let's figure out how to work together.
Okay. It felt like Duluth took advantage of that. They were able to pin Minneapolis City back. We spent a lot of time in our own half in that first half, and it didn't feel like there was a lot of urgency to dig ourselves out of that hole.
Yeah, I think so too. I don't know if necessarily they pinned us back, but what they did very well, and for those of you who left me angry voicemails and somehow got my phone number from Duluth, thank you very much for those. But here's where I talk about, I can't believe that happened. Somehow some people in Duluth got my phone number and started to send me angry messages about my commentary on the stream. So thank you for that. But this is where I say something nice about you. So now you can eat literal crow, because I'm going to say something nice. It wasn't that that Duluth pinned us back, but what they did really well was they kept the ball as a unit, and they moved up the field as a unit. They weren't necessarily lumping long balls into a striker,
Sure,
which is what I typically saw them do. They kept the ball, and they were very intentional about when they moved forward on us. And I think that's a little bit of being skittish, that they don't want to get caught on a counterattack against players that they may have felt were dangerous, that we had in our front five, we'll call it. So I think that it was more of them being very conservative, but being conservative in a way that actually becomes aggressive, because there's so many men inside your defensive third.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But despite all that and all of the worry in the first half of the first half, we'll call it, City was first on the board.
Yeah, in the 27th minute, off of a free kick by Andrew Szczynski, I called it on the broadcast. I said, it was a perfect opportunity on the right side of the box to be able to put in service that's, waist high with pace, that can be dangerous for many reasons. It could be dangerous if it hits off your guy as being the defensive team. It could be dangerous if you get on the other end of it and put your foot through it from an offensive perspective. But lobbing that in the air is the wrong play there. It's a low driven ball.
Something fast.
Szczynski laid it through. Mensah dummied it. Stevie Lamar broke free from his defender and hammered home a great volley. And we're up. We're early. Yeah. We're up.
Stevie Lamar, again, fox in the box.
Yeah.
Able to get on the end of that. And I'll say, I think that's all due to the individual effort of Szczynski 1v1 against his man.
I think it was Morales.
His man Morales, yep. Attacking as that right back, right? And I think he
drew the foul and took the kick.
Not only, but before he drew that foul, he played himself through.
Yeah.
Nice ball around the defender. Szczynski makes the right run to get there first. Morales drags him down from behind, and Jasinski says, "I got this. I'm gonna take this thing."
Yep. It looked like a calculated play, like a training ground exercise. It looked like because he did put 2 arms up. I don't know what that means. I'm not at training all the time, so I don't know if they practice that.
Well,
But
signal is where the ball's going, right? Front post, back post. You going low? You going
something?
Yep.
It signaled something, and it was executed to perfection.
Yeah. On the other end of the field, Evan Siefkin, another standout player on the season here as we're kind of getting to the end
Really
of the Crow
took hold
season.
of the number 1 shirt.
Yep, for sure. Called into action, and he answered in that 34th minute.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was kind of a broken play. If I'm remembering correctly, the ball once again, Duluth did a very good job of getting like men advantage into our defensive third. The ball went out wide to the left, and Shazinski was beaten by, I think, Morales, and he was able to play an inch perfect pass across the Crows 18-yard box, and at first glance it was like Siefkin's dead to rights because he came out of his 6-yard box to try to stop the cross.
Yep.
When there's white shirts flying in to try to stop it, and it was slotted back perfectly, and Rory Doyle, I believe I have that correct, for Duluth, got his foot on it, and it was signaling to go into the top corner, and Evan Siefkin, all 6'4", 210 plus whatever he is pounds, threw himself through. And we even joked because we were watching the replay before we recorded that like Carson Pena like kind of heard big lumbering footsteps behind him and got the hell out of the way.
Yeah, I mean he could have been a guy that cleared it at the line, but he fucking ducked.
Yeah,
because he heard
and it wasn't
Siefkin
because
coming.
The ball was coming.
No.
He ducked because he had the white bear from Lakeville running behind him.
Yep, the white bear from Lakeville.
and Evan Siefkin made a spectacular save, and we had Minneapolis City, excuse me, too much MLS talk in my brain. We had Minneapolis City legend goalkeeper Matt Elder in the booth at halftime, and Nordo asked him about like that save, and he said those are the best ones when everyone else thinks you're dead to rights and you just come through. And it wasn't that it just hit him, he made a sprawling save.
Oh, yeah,
it was a spectacular save. But one note that I want to make on that is it was indicated that Captain Wes Lawrence on the day did win the coin toss and decided to be on the east end,
the sunny side,
and looking into the sun.
Mm-hmm.
So part of that to me was Siefkin was probably didn't necessarily know, unless it was instinct, what was actually going on.
He might not have known exactly where that ball was coming.
Yeah.
He was just kind of fill space.
And threw his big body out there and sprawled out, was able to make the save. But it was interesting that we chose, knowing our own home field, to take because that sun is dangerous coming out of the west.
Yeah.
In the first half at 7 o'clock game. So it was interesting. So outside of that, there was kind of just some push and pull by both teams, some decent half chances until halftime called, and it was 1-0 Crows.
Yeah. So what's going on in the locker room, you think? I mean, we're all up in the booth. We don't know. But 1-0 Crows. I'm not sure that, or at least based on the article from Kyle, from what I could gather from it, I'm not sure that a lot of those young Crows really understood the gravity of this rivalry until, leaders like Aiden O'Driscoll stood up and said, "You guys, this is going to be tough out there.
Yeah,
you guys got to be ready for this." And here we are, 1-0 at half. What do you think? What do you think is being communicated?
I think the number one thing was that the voice of people like Aiden O'Driscoll. I can't confirm nor deny this happened.
Did I say Aiden or Rory?
Oh, Aiden.
Okay, good.
Yep. It's been a long day.
It's been island life, man.
Yeah, living that island life. Going from the paradise to the island paradise in one day. I think it's the voice of Aiden O'Driscoll and maybe Coach Carl Craig saying, like, 1 is absolutely not enough because these guys are dangerous enough and they're going to be playing as hard as they can to get a result against us at home. They want to spoil the party.
Oh, absolutely. They love spoiling a party.
Yeah, and we love spoiling a party at their place. It's just what a rivalry is. So there had to be the message of let's take the 1-0 lead, but it's not enough. We got to come out and we got to get after them. And we'll talk about what what happened after that.
Yeah, man, because Duluth comes out ready to party. City again on the back foot. I think Siefken had to work to keep the lead. Second big save from Evan Siefken.
Yeah, Paul I don't know if it's Paul. It's Bobai was their number 9 on the day to start. And is it Paul Bobai? You looking that up?
I'll look it up.
I know his last name is Bobai because I had to commentate on it. So I know it's Bobai. I wrote his name down on a sticky note in front of us. But Bobai was
you got it.
Paul Bobai was absolutely dangerous. Here's another positive Duluth plug to the people who left me angry voicemails. Paul Bobai was on the end of some great service from Kosa Dimirovski for a good part of the first 8 minutes of the second half. And in the second minute of the second frame, he had a point blank shot from the 18-yard box. And I actually think that even though the Siefken save in the 34th minute was spectacular, I think the most important one was the save in the second minute on Bobai, because Evan was going the wrong way, and it looked like maybe Bobai had the far post, and Evan went to the far post, but was able to get a handout and stop it from going into the near post. That was massive, because it was almost a gifted goal in the second minute, and that's absolutely lethal for Minneapolis City. Like you might not come back from that.
Yeah, right out of the locker room like that.
Yeah,
like way to crush the spirit of a team that's
and it further validates the message that 1-0's not good enough.
It's not. When we talk about Evan Siefken, not to change subjects really as far as away from this game, but just really briefly, it reminds me of the point blank save he had against Manitoba in the Manitoba game.
Yeah,
at home, to rescue an own goal. I mean, the ball came off the knee or something of one of our own players, and the reflexes on this kid, like he has been getting better and better and better every game. Can't wait to watch him next season for St. John's
and hopefully Minneapolis City. Like he has all of the physical tools from a shot stopping perspective that you see at the next level beyond us.
Yeah.
But
big body, quick,
big body,
great
reflexes. Yep. Good instincts. Hands, commands the box, comes off his line, like all of that stuff. But for him, if there's any knock on him, it's his feet. And I think he's actually better than people give him credit for with his feet, in his distribution. But I think some of the angles he takes, he's so used to being the big body that makes those saves.
I read an article about that though. Like thanks to Pep and Ederson, people are really excited about the ability of a goalkeeper to distribute.
No,
and
just kick the ball as far as you can.
It adds a dimension.
Get out of danger.
But like, look at someone like Nick Pope for Newcastle, right? Like awful.
Look at Evan Turner.
Feet.
Evan Turner, or not Evan Turner? Matt Turner.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Like he's terrible with his feet. Like how many times in the Gold Cup did you see him have a ball and like go to kick it up the field and it went out of bounds?
And so there's kind of like a new school versus old school when it comes to goalkeepers around like, is it important to be able to add that dimension to your team's game?
Not
it's just like, you know what's important? Stop the fucking ball from going in the net.
Right. Like if you clear a ball out and it goes out of bounds for a throw in around midfield, I do not care. The ball's not going in the net. Your job is to stop the ball from going in the net. Yep. Yes. Don't get me started on this.
So ultimately, John, Duluth's attacking pressure did end up leading to a foul in a dangerous area. And here comes Duluth's big threat, Kosta Dimirovski, most deserved of the NPSL North's.
Yeah, he got screwed on
top
that.
11.
He definitely got screwed on that. Another good thing I'm saying about Duluth.
Yeah.
Dimirovski, I mentioned on the broadcast. I think he's one of the best players I've seen in the NPSL. We've seen players from Detroit FC. We've followed our friends in Tulsa and Little Rock.
We've seen players from the NPSL go pro.
Yep, exactly. We've had them go pro.
Yeah.
He's in that top echelon. Like I would expect to see him playing at another level at some point if he chooses to do so. We don't know what his plans are, but I said
that free kick was sweet.
The free kick was sweet, but I said on the broadcast, like with a player like that, you have to make sure that your defensive responsibility is making him go backwards. Do not let him turn. Do not let him come at you. And somehow in the midfield three, they just got they lost sight of him. He was able to turn, went past one guy, got chopped down, and then it's like you're 22 yards out, dead center. That's a nightmare for any goalkeeper, even being the size of Evan Siefkin.
Too many options.
And Domorowski chose to go to Evan Siefkin's side, but he basically said, beat me. I'm going to beat you. And he picked his corner. He picked his corner and he just put it right in.
Yeah. And so it was 1-1 for a good chunk of that second half. And I remember rewatching the stream. Even Nordo was like, when is Minneapolis City going to add some urgency to this game? Like, what is going on? Like, they don't look like they even want to win. But once the subs started hitting, John.
Yep.
That's when City found another gear. They found that urgency. 75th minute, it's Faden Orokondo. And by the way, adding him in, just a totally another level of speed and just like attacking dimension to the team, right? Like, haven't seen him finish, but just the ability to get into dangerous places, cause problems.
Yep.
Exemplified in our second goal. He chases a ball down, played over the top to him. He got there first. Goalkeeper got to Faden second. Hip checks him, knocks him off the ball. Goalkeeper doesn't even get a touch on the ball, I don't think.
And there were just shouts of like, it shouldn't have been a foul.
Like because it was shoulder to shoulder kind of stuff. No, it was like he hip checked him.
The dude tried to clear the ball out and whiffed and ended up kicking Uruakondu.
Yep.
And I think Coach Craig said in the post game recap that was full of a lot of stuff. We'll say that sometimes Faden's not on and sometimes he's on. And when he's on, it's good Faden. Yeah. And we got good Faden.
Yeah. We got good Faden. But stepping up to take that PK was instead, surprisingly, Griffin Gierchi. And he challenged Price to his right, to the keeper's right.
Yep.
I rewatched that because I just love Nordo saying Gierchi. And Price was almost like daring him
to go to his right.
And he had his hand out there like, come on. And then he went left. And it's like, well, that's where I put it.
Yeah. Well, there was some question as to like why your center back on the day is taking that.
Or defensive mid or whatever he was playing.
Is. But he was playing center back on the day. And I think it's because he's left-footed.
I think Carl Craig puts a lot of faith in what is someone's dominant foot.
Yeah, I would say so. So I think he I mean, you see it with like Carson Pena, like whenever there's right back struggles in some levels of soccer, you see your left back move over because it's essentially the same position, but you lose the ability for service because you have a left footer playing a right back or a right footer playing a left back. And what you might gain in being able to cut in and put a ball on target, you lose in the ability to serve a ball in
on the fly.
Yeah, on the fly. So that's why you don't. I think you're right. That's why you don't see Shazinski playing left back. You saw Humphrey, natural left footer, Carson Pena, natural left footer. Like, it makes sense.
Exactly.
But on this kick, I think it was that. I think it was, maybe he showed something in training that he had a high percentage of making his spot kicks. So,
or Duluth will never have studied Griffin Gierchi's penalty tendencies.
Maybe not. I don't know.
But either way, buries it, and City's up 1. Dagger comes in the 80th minute from Dennis Mensah, John. Eric Contreras, who had dropped back a little bit. He was deep.
In the second half, he played the number 10, and Dennis went up top.
Yep, and you think about like when you see a guy who's got it reminded me of Morgan, right? Like when Hakeem Morgan can drop back and put those balls in diagonally. Yep. He did the exact same thing to Shea Bechtel. Bechtel, phenomenal bit of control.
Yeah, using his head.
Picking that ball up with his head, basically like heading it forward into his own path. Dribbles to the end line. Looks up, delivers a cross that Mensah is able to meet with what was his face or his shoulder or his entire body. Diving header.
Whatever it was, it didn't hit a hand.
Yep, in the net.
Yep.
And he made sure.
So for me, and I mentioned this, and this is probably where some folks from Duluth didn't like what I said. I guess not. Captain Jake Starling completely lost the plot on this one, and he's a very reliable central defender. I think that he's not 100% at fault. We watched it back on the car ride here to the Paradise, and I showed you. I was like, look at the defensive center midfielder who should have been tracking back.
Yep.
Now
late to the party, who raises his hand,
shouting for offside when he's 15 yards behind the play. But he was trailing Eric Contreras, who was just dead to rights, open in front of the sitting at the penalty spot. And I think Starling left.
He saw that.
He got caught in a decision, and he made the wrong decision. He should have stayed where he was instead of trying to make the half step to go to the penalty spot to potentially, nick that pass off. Even if that pass is made, I think he still has the ability to recover and get his body in front of Contreras and at least have an opportunity to block that shot. But as soon as he leaves Mensah open, there's 8 yards of space horizontally for Mensah to do whatever he wants in because there was no one there.
Yeah, so as long as Bechtel can deliver that on target, which he did, which he can. Yeah. 15 assists last year in the MIAC for St. Olaf. The guy knows how to put a ball in the box.
Yeah, and he did, and Dennis just threw his body at it, and I think it might have hit a neck-face combo.
Hit something.
Chest, I don't know, but it went in the goal.
Yeah, and that's all, and it's 3-1. And City in the 80th minute looked like this is it, right? Yeah. Interesting stat point. Duluth has never won a game in which 3 goals have been scored against them.
Yes, and another interesting stat, Nate, since I'm talking about stats, is that was our highest scoring output of the season so far.
We did it. Well, did we score 3 in RKC?
Oh, yeah. In a victory. In a victory.
Yep. High scoring win.
Yeah.
Duluth wasn't done.
No, they were not. In the 85th minute, substitute Zach
Tiemeyer
came on for Captain Jake Starling at center back, and this guy was all sorts of left feet from the get-go. Now's when I talk a little negative. No apologies.
Earmuffs.
No apologies here. Yeah, put your earmuffs on if you don't live in the Minneapolis metro. This guy came out and from the jump was headhunting. And I don't mean he was going after people's heads in the literal term, but he tried to take a swipe at 2 other players, but they were too quick for him to get to them. And then he also brought down Eric Contreras in the box, which was deemed to be a no foul, but upon further review up in the booth, we saw the replay, and Eric Contreras turned him inside out. But in the 85th minute, which was essentially 4.5 minutes to the nose of when he entered the fray, Faden Uru-Okondu was played in on the left side, and Tiemeyer put his head down about 5 yards away and clearly was going for nothing but the man, which is so dangerous. Like, I understand the emotion of everything, and I got a little bit worked up about this because that's where it goes into it goes away from rivalry and it goes into targeting players and trying to hurt them on purpose. And this one definitely, in my opinion, Nate, he looked like he was trying to hurt him on purpose. Yeah. And then he gets sent off. But the funniest part is I heard...
Well, hold on. Oh, yeah, go ahead.
No, you go.
I was going to say that's an interesting point, John, because
it wasn't dirty up until
you could give him the benefit of the doubt to say, like, this is a guy who's been sitting on the bench.
He was stewing in his own shit for 85 minutes.
And then in 80 minutes in, after the 3rd goal, they put him in, and it's just like, Zach, make a difference. What are you going to do?
Go get him,
and it's just like, I don't know. And he just, like, you know what I mean? Like, so there's, like, the intent might not have been there to headhunt, but the performance is...
It was there.
All right.
You just watch the replay.
Sure.
Just watch the replay. But I was able in our bird's nest to be able to hear as he's walking off the field, he's being booed and people are hurling insults at him.
Of course.
And his comeback was, well, you only won 3 games. And then a voice shouts out, yeah, but we're beating you. So take that, Zach.
And what did you say in the car? You only played 3 minutes.
Yeah, I would have said, you only played 4 minutes, bro.
Yep.
So once again, the card fest that has been coming from the North Shore, it was compounded on top of, and now that was their fifth red card in 2 games. Ultimately, finding out that there was a 6th red card given to Coach Sean Morgan after the game by the referees for something he said, which was probably very colorful. So
Very British.
very British, very. Yeah, it definitely had an accent to it, and I'll die on the hill that was targeting, and it might have been premeditated. I won't die on that hill, but I'll just say it.
Yeah.
Like, if I'm a worked up player and I'm sitting watching this unfold and I got a chance to kick a guy, I'm probably going to do it.
Sure. Okay.
But I'm also going to do it where it's a yellow cardable offense.
Not a red card.
Not
You got to control.
when there's 2 guys behind me who could easily have taken that ball from Urokondo because his touch was kind of heavy.
Pick your spots.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So we already mentioned, John, this is our biggest win of the season.
In a victory.
Yep. Biggest win of the
Yep.
season. Yep. Three goals scored. Awesome. That makes Minneapolis City. This is an interesting fact.
Yep. We are the highest scoring team in Group A compared to the other group, which has, we looked at it. Let me pull it up here. The Group A between Minnesota United, Minneapolis City, and Duluth. The top spot in the group goes to Minnesota United's U19 MLS Next team. They scored 3 goals. We scored 5. They scored 2, gave up 1. We scored 3, gave up 2. Duluth scored 2, gave up 4. And then you go into Group B between Med City, Vlora, and St. Croix Legends. Med City topped the group, scoring 4 goals, giving up 1. Then Vlora scored 4, giving up 5. And St. Croix scored 5, giving up 7. So
Jeez.
that was a goal fest in
That's
Group B. But Group A was the defense fest. Defensive fest.
Yeah, we'll call it that. Defensive festivities ensued. Well, I think, John, this victory against Duluth sets up a really winnable semifinal and final only because of what happened between Vlora and St. Croix.
Yes, and that matchup was I turned it on at halftime and it was 1-1, maybe 2-1. I don't remember if it was 1-1 or 2-1. But regardless, it was a low scoring affair at halftime.
Yeah.
And there was some tightness there between the 2 teams. Then I kind of just like drifted off to do other things. And then I hear from my TV while I'm doing dishes that like people going crazy. And then it was all of a sudden 2-2. And then we're now in the 83rd minute. And from the 83rd minute to the 94th minute, it ended up being 4-4 with Vlora scoring the fourth goal to ultimately put them into the semifinals.
Yeah, and because of how crazy the goal scoring had been in that group, right? Vlora advances on goal differential because that was a group stage game.
Yep.
So all they needed was a draw to advance, and they had the victory, and then they gave up a 3-1 lead. And it was 4-3 St. Croix.
Yeah.
And Vlora came back.
Yeah. The magic of the Super Cup, Nate. So speaking of the Super Cup, let's talk about it. So up next for the Crows is a trip to Rochester Technical College Stadium, or whatever the hell it's called, where Minneapolis City historically has found success there. In our first season in the NPSL, we beat them last game of the season with no playoff
to
potential.
stifle their playoff potential.
Knocked them out of the playoffs.
Mhm.
We've knocked them out of the playoffs 3 years in a row at the end of the season at Rochester Stadium. So now we're going into another matchup there with a little bit of higher stakes, I guess you could say.
Yeah. And let's talk about Mid City. We know, John, that Duluth, well publicized, finished top of the North with an undefeated record.
Top of the country.
Right. Number 1 in the NPSL for a long time this season. Med City, 3rd in the NPSL North with a record of 6 wins, 2 losses, 4 draws.
Mm-hmm.
And those losses were to Duluth and Twin Stars. But they improbably beat Duluth, who were down to 8 men by the end of the game, to advance to the Midwest Conference playoffs. So this Med City team,
The Midwest National Playoffs.
that's what I meant, Midwest
Regional
playoffs.
Yep.
Regional playoffs. So this Med City team, riding a little bit of luck into the end of the year, but still they're hanging in there, man, and they got the fight in them.
So here's where I start to get on my. Let's pull back down to reality here. You squeak into the playoffs, which I think is a stupid concept.
Top 4. I didn't realize this.
I think it's a stupid concept.
The NPSL North.
As soon as we left, they got the majority vote, and they decided to finish the playoff seeding on.
John, there are 7 teams in the NPSL North.
Oh, it's very MLS. Everyone's in.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Worse than the MLS. More than 50% of the teams in the entire damn conference are in the playoffs.
Yeah, but why? Here's my thing. Why do you reward 3rd and 4th place by
top 2? I get.
Top 2 automatically went in before they changed it, and now it's 1 gets in, and you have this stupid playoff so you can get another trophy.
Dummies.
Dumb. Why would you? Okay, say I'm Duluth. Why would I put forth all this effort to be the number 1 scoring team in the country, to be the number 1, the top team from a points per game perspective, to winning the regular season conference, if it means nothing but I get to play the 4th place?
Not only that, I have to play 2 more games before I have to play the games that actually matter.
Yeah, it's stupid. It's like, why did I play so hard during the regular season if I could have just eked in at 4th and gotten a trophy by winning 2 playoff games?
Because eking in at 4th is so easy, because all you got to do is finish above Eris, Dakota, Thunder, Joy, Twin Stars. Like,
it can be done. Yes, it can be done.
Oh, yes.
You know what's harder to do? Go undefeated.
Yeah.
Reward the conference.
Reward the excellence.
Reward the excellence. Hey, there's not a nice Duluth thing we said.
Yeah.
Reward the fact that they were so good this year, but instead the coin did not bounce in their favor, and they got screwed by some questionable officiating, which you can never control. So it's all chance then. Mm-hmm. That game was chance. That game was not logic.
The ref shortage is real.
So so now we look at
what's in front of us.
What's in front of us is that we went from a team that had nothing to lose in this competition, who potentially had a playoff game to think about, to Duluth having nothing to think about but trying to beat us because they don't like us.
Yeah.
And then you have Med City, who also does not like us. Shocker how that happens. You have Med City, who doesn't like us. And now they potentially, I'm flip-flopping our notes here.
That's great.
They potentially are going to have to play 5 games in 12 days if they win on Friday to then play us. And I don't believe that they have the horses in the stable to, beyond their maybe top 13, 14 guys, to be able to withstand that run.
Yeah. I mean, even if they, so worth noting, the Midwest Conference is in Des Moines this weekend, starting Friday the 21st through Sunday for the conference playoffs. And if anyone, and City fans might remember when it was here.
Yeah.
We hosted here. City played the Carpathians first, and
Friday and then Sunday.
Yep, and then there was a game between Cleveland and somebody that Milwaukee, yeah, the Torrent, right? And then the next day, or 2 days later, then it was City Cleveland. We lost, and the same thing is going on in Des Moines this weekend. So yes, Med City is going to play Steel City, and if they beat Steel City out of Pittsburgh, then they're going to play again on Sunday. They're going to play either Tulsa. Oh, you got it right here.
No, I'm just
pointing
at our notes.
Yep, you're going to play either Tulsa or whoever would beat Tulsa, and then turn around on Tuesday, come home, play Minneapolis City, a much better team. Med City is run by the engine of probably the same 3 or 4 players that we have known over the last few years.
Back-to-back NPSL North champions, Med City.
Yeah, I mean it's the same guys. And you can remember these names if you've followed City, if you follow the team, if you follow the matchups, these are familiar names except for the last one.
Yeah, so Lucas Hart, Scott Neal, Henry Tolbert, Toby Millward. Then there's Tristan
Jumeau, we'll call him. Yep.
He was one of their top goal scorers. These names are familiar. So, but what you get after them are a lot of unproven players, at least in the NPSL. And we saw what we're just gonna call it like it is, a less powerful Minneapolis City side, what they can do to the NPSL best.
Yeah.
On their best day. Like, what if we get some of these guys back from injury? Like, what could we potentially do to a team that finished third and ultimately may have 5 games in 12 days?
Yeah.
So if I'm Rochester, I'm a little bit, if I'm putting any emphasis on this competition, I'm a little bit worried about what could potentially happen if they don't get to the national semifinals in the NPSL by winning this weekend. You and I are going to watch the game tomorrow and see how that goes. But say someone like Jumeau or your captains in Millward and guys like Lucas Hart, who are kind of your engine. What if they get hurt? You don't have a lot of proven that can go into another rivalry match with Minneapolis City.
Exactly, and this is kind of what we were talking about when it's like, not only do they have these potentially 3 games in 4 days, it's like you look back, they're just playing a lot of soccer and they do not have the depth, hopefully, to take on City. But what's waiting for City? If City were to win next Tuesday in Rochester, what's waiting for them after that? It's either Valora or it's United U19.
Yeah, and Minnesota United U19, they're riding high on the Shamrock. They got the top spot like we talked about. But then you look at this Valora side that maybe they caught a heater and they're going to be primed and ready to go. That one could be, and well, let me dial it back a little bit from there. We saw in the Duluth Minnesota United U19s match that Minnesota U19s can play ball. We saw them against us, but
yeah, but what I mean, we mentioned this, like you said it. They're riding that Shamrock because, I mean, we couldn't score against them, but we should have hit the post a couple times.
Duluth got lucky that it was a draw. The kids over across the river or across the down 94 from us, or actually maybe they're
up 35.
Up 35. They're in Blaine. They had 8 goal scoring chances. I watched the game. I rewatched the game in preparation for talking about this. They had 8 goal scoring chances and tucked 1 home. Duluth had maybe 2 and they scored theirs. But what happened was they got very physical with the kids.
Yeah.
We'll call them kids.
Yeah.
They got physical with the kids. And you'd have to believe that we've seen Valora play. They also are a very physical team. Mm-hmm. So it could essentially be a Valora squeaking through by overpowering them.
It could. And we saw Valora, I'll say, collapse against the Futures. They really couldn't.
But then they stepped up against legends who are in USL too. That's why I love this competition, because it just shows parity across the talent pool that is, we're not going to call it like the Metro, because I guarantee you Lucas Hart, Henry Tolbert, Toby Millwater, like the guy, half these guys aren't even from the area. There's a lot of transplants that are academy players for Minnesota United. Yeah. So,
but the region gathers.
But the region does gather
some nice talent.
Yep. But it just shows that it doesn't matter what league you play in if you bring your A game.
Yeah, and it seems to have turned into a really interesting competition. Where I think if you looked at the groups, if you looked at this tournament when it was announced, you'd hope that Minneapolis City would get in, but you're like, man, we are. If you talk about group of death, it's City, Duluth, and a United Academy team versus, this other group that's just got like a bunch of unproven teams. Med City, meh.
So the semifinal matchup for Minneapolis City versus Med City at RCTC Stadium is July 25th, Tuesday, 7 p.m. You can head on over to mnsupercup.com, hit the schedule, hit the click and buy tickets, and you can head there. I don't know if I'm still on the fence, Nate, whether or not I'm going to
it's going to be tough.
drive the kids down there. I don't quite know. I have the kids that day because my wife has some obligations, so got to be dad. Maybe I'll teach the kids swear words from the basement instead of the stands in Rochester. So the second semifinal match between Minnesota United U19s and Vlora is at McAllister College, 7 p.m. on the same night.
Because Minnesota United cannot/will not host.
Yes, and maybe Vlora couldn't get Burnsville High School.
Yep.
So who knows?
Yep.
But ultimately, whatever happens when these four teams lock horns, the final is July 29th at McAllister College Stadium at 7 p.m. You and I will be on the call for that one.
Yeah, no matter who.
No matter who. So hopefully it's us. It'll be great. And maybe we can get some silverware this season.
Boop. I want to lift that. I want to drink out of that trophy.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully, I think it is a cup.
Better be.
I mean, you can't call
it's called the cup.
Well, yes, we've won a lot. We've won a decent amount of trophies, and I'll give you PSL. You can drink out of all their trophies, but
We've won a plate.
We want a plate. We want a cup that had like so many like open slashes in it that you had to have like three people hold it with you to keep the beer in.
Oh.
A trophy is meant to be drunk out of. I'm just gonna put it that way. But anyways, head on over to Rochester Technical College Stadium on Tuesday, July 25th for that 7:00 game if you can. If you can't, I'm sure it'll be broadcast on their live stream. But that will do it for this week's show, folks. From beautiful Madeline Island at Casa de Morales. Thank you again to our wonderful show sponsor, footballstadiumprints.com. The lower league season is winding down. The seasons are over. Now it's cup time. But that doesn't mean you have to miss out on some of the top gear from Football Stadium Prints featuring lower league teams' hotness from Minneapolis to the Hedge. With everything from mugs to t-shirts to sweet prints of lower league icons like me, the John Bisworm, Matt Elder, or Edor Nelson Field. And don't forget to use the code CROWS10, that's CROWS10 for 10% off of everything you purchase. And remember, all U.S. orders ship right from the United States. There's no pesky international shipping charges. Thank you again to the community for your support with our GoFundMe drive for replacing the items that were stolen with our trailer, our game day trailer. But remember, Minneapolis City is a 501c3, so consider it a charitable gift to the club that loves to give back. If you're interested in getting a hold of us, once again, as always, made it super simple. You can hit up the club and complain to Dan at mplscitysc.com, or you can do like some fans from Duluth did, find my phone number and just yell at me directly.
What?
Or
what bathroom stall did they get that off of, John?
I have no idea. What glory hole were they at?
Whoa!
Or you can hit us up at the People's Pitch, or on Twitter, or via email at mcscpodcast@gmail.com. I am John. That was Nate. We will be back to you next week with a recap of the semifinal round of the Minnesota Super Cup and a preview of potentially Saturday's action. And until next time, you got hoofed.